All right, guys, thanks for coming on. Week number 2 of our GOAT experience. Got my cool new GOAT hat on. Thanks, Fitzy. I'm also rocking my awesome giant swag-tastic Great Lakes shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts. Really comfortable, white and Vegas gold, great color combination. Today we've got Aaron Chamberlain from Great Lakes Bat Company. We've pretty much moved all of our training bats over to him. He's been a phenomenal resource for us. He's customized some stuff. He's got great ideas on that side of things, but more importantly, and why he's here today, is to talk about bat fitting. He's kind of the leading authority on bat fitting. Right now, he's got one of the most comprehensive systems on the market, if not the most comprehensive system on the market. And based on what I've read and seen, that's exactly what it is. So that's the program that we utilize not only in our facility, but also down in Arizona as well. And it's something that I think is really, really important. And in his quote is "dimes make dollars." I think this is a way where we can really kind of capitalize on some stuff and add a lot of dimes to our program. So Aaron, I'm going to let you kind of introduce yourself, maybe talk a little bit about how you came up with this idea and what it is, and we'll go from there. And then at the end, we'll kind of do a little brief Q&A too before we switch into our next speaker.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, Ryan. Really appreciate the opportunity to be on here today. Real quick introduction, I guess. Great Lakes Bat Company is now about 3 years old. We started as a wood bat company and quickly realized there's some issues in the wood bat industry, and part of it is helping guys identify what they need. Wood bats and metal bats, there are a lot of differences, and a lot of it boils down to the fit of how a bat interacts with a player. And what we found is with all of the different turn models out on the market, so many guys are swinging the wrong one. They pick up whatever their buddy has, or they pick up whatever is available at the nearest retail store, and they swing it. And they then assume that if they're not having success with it, that they need to change who they are as a hitter, when in all reality, they may just need to change the bat that they're using. So what we're going to do during the next few minutes is we're going to go over some of the basics of how we fit a player to a bat. So the first thing I'm going to do is introduce you to the tool that we use. So this is our variable MOI bat fitting device. All right. So as I slide it across here, you'll see it's basically a bat with a ring, steel ring, that can move up and down throughout this span. So this span is about 6.5 inches long, and we removed about 6 ounces of wood and replaced that wood weight with that steel ring. So now all of the weight that was removed is concentrated in one single area. So what that allows us to do is dramatically change the weight distribution of that bat without changing the actual length and weight. So we can use one bat, quote unquote, to fit a player to any number of bats. So as an example, many of our recommendations will come back with 6 or 8, or even on the professional side, 12 or 14 different recommendations, all within that player's swing profile, right? Oftentimes I equate it to shopping for shoes, where you know what size you are, right? You go in, you put your foot on the little device in there, and you figure out what size you are, and then you go look at the shoes in that size section, right? You don't go look at shoes based on color and arch before you know whether you're a 9, 10, or 11, right? So that's kind of a very simplified version of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and go over a real basic presentation and walk you through this. So give me 1 minute here while I throw it up on full screen. All right, so at this point, you know, we think bat fitting is the lowest hanging fruit of hitter development. Literally, you don't have to change who you are as a hitter. You can find that incremental improvement by simply getting into the right bat. So some terms to know before we jump into this. We're talking about moment of inertia. So in the golf world, they talk about moment of inertia, or MOI, a lot. And there are fitting processes that are similar in concept to what we do as far as MOI matching golf clubs. Typically what they'll do is identify a club that you hit really well. Say you never missed the 7-iron, to borrow a phrase from Tin Cup, right? So then they'll look at the moment of inertia of that, and then they'll systematically build out the rest of your clubs based on the moment of inertia of your 7-iron, right? So what we're doing is we're identifying what moment of inertia you perform best at with a bat, and then reverse engineering bat combinations to get you there. So bat weight is another term you're going to need to know. This one's really straightforward. How much does the bat as a whole weigh? Now, weight distribution, the next term, is a little bit different. So how is the weight or mass distributed along the bat's length? So a lot of times we refer to this as either balanced or end loaded, right? Balanced is where that weight distribution has more weight closer to your hands, right? It's not truly a balanced bat, right? There's still more weight in the barrel, more mass in the barrel, but it's more balanced than an end loaded bat where more weight is out in the barrel end, right? So classic examples, 2 models everyone's familiar with: the 271, very balanced; the traditional 243, very end loaded, right? And you can feel it when you swing it. What you feel, that resistance, is the moment of inertia, right? That resistance, the difference. They could both be 34 or 32s, but that difference in weight distribution creates a difference in moment of inertia. Now, blast metrics. Just about everybody's familiar with blast, at least at a foundational level. The metrics that we pay most attention to during our fitting process are bat speed, attack angle, time to contact, and power. So it's not looking at each one of those individually. It's looking at those as part of a system and how those interact with the different moments of inertia. So who is best suited for bat fitting? So those who are best suited for bat fitting are players who can swing a 32-29 BB core and up, essentially. So 32-29, 33-30, 34-31. We can fit players to any bats in those combinations, as well as all these wood bats, right? So from our 32-inch transitional series all the way through our 35-32s that we have some pro guys swing. In our database of bats, we have all of our wood bat combinations, and then we have a number of major brands on the BB core side. So future state, youth baseball, which is already in the works, and then fast pitch softball, both youth and adult. So what we are doing from a bat fitting standpoint is we're trying to maximize the ability to consistently hit the ball hard. We want guys hitting the ball hard and hitting the balls with positive attack angles or positive launch angles, which are typically driven by positive attack angles. So as you can see in the chart here, if you have a launch angle that is in that 15 to 20 degree range and you hit the ball hard, good things are going to happen, right? If you hit it in that 20 to 25 degree range and you hit the ball hard, good things are going to happen. And if you get into that 30 degree range and hit it really hard, a lot of good things are going to happen. It's not rocket science. It's just a matter of getting you into the bat that's going to help you do it. These are concepts that everyone already understands. Hit it hard, hit it at a positive launch angle, and good things are going to happen. So where can this be done? Some of the people on this Zoom have already gone through this. Some can do it in a facility. Some can do it in a practice setting. This is a picture of one day I did it in my backyard just to prove that you can do this anywhere where you can set up a tee and a pop-up net, right? I mean, it takes very little space, easily done in under 100 square feet. As long as you can set up a tee, have a ball, set up a net, you can get this done. So when is it beneficial? So for high school players, college players, professionals, it really, if you look at it, the timelines of when they're going to want to do this varies a little, but what it boils down to is you're going to want to do it a few times a year, right? So you're going to want to do it prior to your season. You're going to want to do it during your off season so that the work you're getting is most beneficial. So And when you look at that, you're like, well, it's a training environment, right? So I'm just getting my work in, but the bat you're swinging changes how you move. So there's a good chance that if you're swinging a bat that doesn't help you move as efficiently as you should be, you're going to be trying to train movement patterns that you might not actually have to train if you have the bat in your hands that helps you move most efficiently. And I hope that makes sense. But if you stop and think about it, I want you to think about holding a sledgehammer. Picture yourself holding a 10-pound sledgehammer. And I want you to think about swinging it as hard as you can. And now I want you to think about holding a broomstick and swinging it as hard as you can. And this dramatic example, you can probably feel the difference in how your body would react to moving that sledgehammer, incredibly high MOI, to that broomstick that would have a very low MOI. And that's what we're talking about. So if you were swinging a broomstick and your movement patterns were all out of whack, and you decided you were going to start training your movement patterns to be more efficient, perhaps you just needed to go to something with greater MOI, and your swing would become less handsy. Your kinematic sequence would clean up. And some of that can be done simply by getting the right bat in your hands. There's always going to be work to be done on the player development side, from cleaning up different movements throughout your swing. But let's grab the low-hanging fruit first so that we can get that cleaned up as much as we can through getting the right bat in your hands. Then we'll worry about the rest of it. So why is it important? So increasing your hard hit average improves offensive production. All it means is you're hitting the ball harder, more consistently. We've already seen, and intuitively it just makes sense, that if we hit the ball hard more often, we're going to have better performance, better outcomes. So in some in-game data from a professional player summer of 2018 in the United Shore Professional Baseball League in Michigan, we had a guy who we fit before the season, but he had already purchased some bats and said he was going to roll with what he had. He had 68 at-bats with the bats that he had already purchased, was hitting 206. By that point, he needed to reorder. He said, listen, whatever you had me fit into, that's what I want to swing. I need something, right? And he went from an average of 81 and change exit velocity up to 87 and change exit velocity after he got into what he was fit into. Now, are we going to sit here and take credit for all of that? No. But what we know is he became a markedly better hitter after getting into it. Then he also became a more confident player, and he was one of the best players in the league in the second half. And some of that's just carryover from having success. So it's important because it's a simple change that you can make literally by simply ordering the right bat or getting into the bat that fits you best, and you become a better hitter. So how does it work, right? I showed you how the weight moves up and down on the slim down portion of the barrel. So player uses one of these bat fitting bats, this variable MOI bat fitting bat, right? Which is a bat that allows the weight distribution to be changed as I demonstrated. And then that T setup, right? We start with the weight in the location closest to your hands. We take 9 swings, 3 in, 3 middle, 3 away. We record that data with the blast, and then we move it up to the next location. 3 in, 3 middle, 3 away. Rinse and repeat all the way up. We then take the average of the metrics that we're collecting, right? The bat speed, time to contact, attack angle, power. We average those for each of the weight locations. Those get entered into a form on our website. And then within 30 minutes, typically much faster, but within 30 minutes, you get an email back with very specific recommendations. And it'll say stuff like, based on your the data you submitted, we recommend that you swing a 33-30 in this model, a 33-30 in this model, a 34-31 in this model, or a 34-31 in this model for BB court. And then in that same email, you'll get the wood recommendations. And it'll say, we recommend you swing a 32.5 in this model, 33 in this model, 33 in this model, right? And with those, we assume a drop 2.5, which is typically where your wood bats are going to live a lot of times, especially if they're cut to be drop threes. A lot of times they're going to take on that weight and end up being closer to a drop 2.5, which is why we build our recommendations based on that. On the pro side, we do custom because those guys can keep them in climate controlled environments if they want to, things like that. So, and I'll stop that. With that, that's a very, very basic overview of how it works and why we do it. I'm more than willing to take any questions that you guys have or turn this over to whoever is next on the agenda. Ryan?
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, they can be as technical as you want them to be. This is the guy to ask very technical questions to. And we'll kind of start there. You can feel free to.
So I see the first question just came in here, a couple of them here. So how often would players need to be refit? So really it depends on who the player is. Age matters a lot. So if a player goes through a growth spurt or something like that, gets stronger, becomes a more efficient mover, he should be refit. For high school players, I would recommend at least every 6 months and ideally every quarter. It's not something we want to do every week, right? Because then we've just got players chasing this fit instead of actually doing some of the training that they should be doing to help themselves holistically. So I would recommend at least every 6 months, ideally every quarter for high school players. And, you know, if you hit any of those, we'll call them milestones where a player becomes markedly stronger, right? Now his needs are going to change. Now that doesn't always mean he needs to go bigger, right? And we've seen that. We've seen guys get stronger and actually need to go with a shorter bat or a lighter bat, right? Just because it changed who they were as a mover. And we feel the only way to fit to someone as a mover is to actually fit them swinging. So that's a great question though. Awesome. We've got question on the wood bats that we sell. Typically it costs $119 for maple, $99 for ash. Happy to talk to you guys if you're looking for team or league deals though. We try to be as affordable as we can be to help people out. Let's see, another one here. If I've already been fitted, should I have it redone to get a wood bat? Depends on how long ago it was. If it was more than a few months ago, I would recommend it. I mean, if you have access to this as a service, I would say, I mean, if guys are buying wood bats for the summer, they're not buying one. They're typically buying 2 or 3 to try to get a little bit better deal on them. And it would be a shame to go buy, you know, spend $300 on bats and find out that you don't have what you need. So if before you load up on the summer for the summer, I would highly recommend it. From Jake, do you find more often players are swinging too small, light of a bat, or too long and heavy of a bat? So I'm going to kind of flip that and say sometimes it's too heavy of a bat for its length, right? So if you look at a guy who's, say, swinging a 33, let's say he's swinging a 33-31 or 33-31 and a half, some of these guys, right, or 33 and a half, 32. If a guy's swinging something that's drop 1.5, drop 2, there is a good chance that even if that's his MOI profile, that's where he should be living as a, in terms of MOI, that he should go longer and lighter. And the reason is that length is directly related to bat speed. So think about MOI as resistance, right? So your hand speed, given equal resistance, should remain relatively constant. However, if we can get the same hand speed with a longer bat, at that point, we've increased your bat speed. So the bat pivots, right? So the bat's pivot point is 2 inches beyond the knob typically. So the further you can move the sweet spot from that pivot point at the same hand speed, the faster that sweet spot is moving. It's like, think about a merry-go-round. If somebody's pushing it like crazy around the outside and it's going really fast and you're standing in the middle of it, it feels like you're hardly moving. But if you're that person way out on the edge, like you're holding on to that bar trying not to be thrown off, right? That's rim speed. And when we talk about bat speed, that's what we're talking about in terms of moving that sweet spot away from the pivot point. You're stealing bat speed that way. So that's a great question. Would you say there's a give and take approach with bat speed and mass of the bat? 100%. And the idea here is that we want to maximize the outcome here. And what it comes down to is maximizing the system of that weight distribution, putting mass in the barrel end, right, of the bat and the bat speed. So there's a trade-off, but finding that spot where that system, where they come together and their synergistic effect is greatest is going to be what produces that exit velocity. Softball fitters in the works. Absolutely. So after had a conversation with Rachel Folden about 2 weeks ago and realized that when we started coming up with this concept for baseball and realized that baseball needed some work, Rachel helped open my eyes to the fact that the softball side is in desperate need of something like this too. And after a conversation about a year ago down at LSU with their softball staff, there seems to be almost a industry-wide problem of softball players swinging bats that are too light. So many people trying to swing that 34-23 when if they looked at it, they could probably swing something more like a 34-24 that drop 10 or even a drop 9, right? And be able to have similar results or better results or similar inputs as far as bat speed and things like that, with better outcomes. And one thing that I want you to try at some point is take a bat, your normal bat, throw a knob sensor on it, right? Set up a tee and hit wiffle balls, right? Tennis balls, something that's provides enough vibration so that the sensor will read it. And then I want you to grab a wiffle ball bat. It weighs maybe, 5 ounces, right? And go ahead and weigh it. And so you'd think like, I should be able to swing this so much faster, right? But that's not how it works, right? Your body's ability to create that high speed movement, it has a governor on it, right? Based on your training. So you take that 5 ounce bat and you're like, I'm going to be able to swing this 110 miles an hour because I can swing my gamer like 78, right? So go ahead and look, you're going to swing it a little faster, but not enough to offset the diminished mass of it. So when I talk about finding that sweet spot, as far as the combination of mass and length and bat speed and all of that, that's what we're after. Let's see here. With the Pro Wood bat fittings, would you choose a model with room for error or a weight with room for error? For example, I had the bat fitting done in spring training. 271 is the best fit at 33.5, 30.5, and 31.5, but 33.5 inches, 31 ounce range with the most best fit. So what we typically do is if you control for the invent, right? There are guys who keep them sealed up with the silica gel packs. You can do that. We're actually working on a real low budget humidor. If guys are interested in that with two-way osmosis. So to be able to do that, and that way guys can bust them open and they know it's going to be what it was when it left our shop, right? But if you can't control for that, what we typically do is try to find a block. And this is really easy to do when we do it with our matrix style recommendations. You find a block of green models, which means these are good fit. And you find one in there, preferably towards the middle of that. you're going to build in a little bit of room for that weight to shift, because all that is that's moisture coming in and going out, right? So package a bat, ship it to the southeast, it's going to take on moisture. We ship it to the southwest, it's going to give off moisture. Typically, we would count on a quarter to half an ounce over time is what we would plan on. So that's another great question, though.
Nate, does that satisfy what you were looking to do? Looking to get out of that?
Yeah, I was just curious because like when we did mine in spring, like if I look at the 33.5, 31s, like I got like a block of like 6 models that are really good. And then the 271 is the only model that is apparently good through like multiple weights. You know what I mean?
So I see what you're saying. So, okay. That, I'll have to look at yours again, because what I would see is if it's good at, say the 271 is good at 33.5, 30.5, right? It's going to be at best a marginal fit at 33.5, 31.5, right? Or 33.5, 30.5. If we're going to give that ounce up, so I'll pull yours back up and take a peek. But typically, what you would see is you're not going to be able to see that ounce come in unless you're also changing length, right? If you're changing length, then that becomes an option. So let's look at yours, and we'll actually, I mean, I'll field another question, but now you've got me intrigued. So I'm gonna find yours.
Yeah. I have
pull it
mine
up.
pulled up right now.
Let me go ahead.
It might make sense if we jump into our next one real quick, and then maybe if you have some more time. I mean, if you don't, then that's fine. I could always get you guys privately hooked up too.
Yeah, that's fine.
Absolutely.
Just that way to.
Oh, Nate, I'm looking at it. One's cupped, one's uncupped. That's the difference. So that's 33.5, 30.5, no cup. That's 33.5, 31.5 with a cup. The shades of green or dark are different. That's what that is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right. Sorry to take up everyone's time. I appreciate all the questions, though. This is great.
No, man, that was awesome. It was great. No, it was really, really helpful from there. And Nate, if that doesn't satisfy what you're doing, then we can connect later, and I'll connect you with Aaron as well. Want to make sure we can keep that engagement.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron.
All right, cool. So hopefully you guys can see Jason. He's got the cool uHit logo in the background. Fancy Zoom guy. There's another guy on here by the Golden Gate Bridge. I got to figure out how to do that. So Jason, we've been using uHit for what we bought the first we bought the demo remote, the Bluetooth remote, the first one.
Yeah, you have the museum piece.
Yeah, we had for a while.
Original.
Yeah, we had the plug-in for a while. I was back in 2016, 2017, one of those years. And we've had a lot of good success with it. We did some cool tests last year at the All-Star break and got some good data, some good correlation data. And so Jason's going to kind of be here today, especially with us all kind of stuck at home and as coaches too. I think this is a great presentation that kind of blends everything together, because the players, you guys can learn from this on kind of what you guys can be doing on your phones. Coaches, you guys can learn and kind of how we use it on the facility side and how to integrate it as coaches as well. So Jason, I'll kind of let you kind of maybe give some background on it, and I'll kind of maybe guide a kind of a Q&A kind of like we talked about.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Ryan. Like Ryan said, we've been working with Johansson Baseball for quite a while. And over those years, we've really developed uHit into a way of assessing players' pitch recognition abilities, strike recognition, so zone recognition. And then now really what we've really targeted to after years of working with pro teams and now expanding this out to facilities and individual players is how to take assessments in zone recognition and pitch recognition and customize that into player-specific interventions. And so that's really what uHit's assessment and interventions, uHit AI, is really all about, where we do take AI that's applied to the data collected in your assessment and give you a customized plan to follow. It's kind of like Tetris. Everyone loves how easy Tetris was, right? Every level gets a little bit harder than the last one. And so what we do is we find out what your, level 1 is in terms of zone recognition, and then give you a level 1, 2, 3, 4, et cetera, all the way up to follow. And the really nice thing about it, especially for this time right now, is that it's all done at the phone, right? We send the assessment to your phone. We then, after you do the assessment in zone recognition and pitch recognition, we send the intervention directly to your phone. So you're following those levels like Tetris, level 1, level 2, et cetera, all the way up, that are specifically customized to your strengths and weaknesses. So what I'm going to do here is show how we did an assessment for a player in a facility, also a pro player, to give you a sense of how it changes by player, and then show you in uHit here on the screen how that intervention is programmed, and then how it gives them like one level after the other that gets harder and harder. And the whole point of this is really to focus in on what are the metrics in uHit, right, that then correlate to the field. So what I'll do before we get into even looking at that is I'll show you some real data from players we worked with on the professional level, where we can track things like chase rate, contact rate, in-zone swing rate, to tell you what are the importance of the kind of things that we capture with uHit. So Ryan, I'll be able to share the screen?
Yeah, Aaron was able to. So you
okay.
should be able to.
Okay, yeah, there it is. Perfect.
Okay.
All right, so I'm just going to start it off with showing some real results from players that have used uHit on the chase rate right here from before using uHit. This is taking a minor league season. So this is chase rate on field before the player was using uHit, and this is over games, right? And then after using uHit to do self-guided assessment and interviews, we saw that during using chase rate dropped dramatically. Okay, so obviously there are other variables involved here. Pitchers they're facing, lighting in the games, day games, night games. They just traveled to a game. There was a home game, whatever it is. But we saw this consistent change in terms of what happened before and during use it. Similarly, we can look at things like contact rates. Again, this is an advantage of you can really only get after having worked with professional teams for this amount of time, is that we can look at things like contact rates too. And again, on field, across a broad range of conditions, lighting, different pitchers thing. We see player, again, going from before using uHit, his contact rates being around 60%. During using uHit, we see his contact rates increasing dramatically. So those are the kind of things in terms of outcomes that we've seen with uHit. When you look on a much bigger sample size, we're able to look across certain teams that we worked with where they were all using uHit one particular way. And we can see these kind of general trends where there are metrics in uHit, like the uHit accuracy, that are particularly important for what happens on field. And here we show the in-zone swing rate, right? So as the players in general, their accuracy was getting better in uHit, we saw that their in-zone swing rates were getting better. Now, again, there's a lot of noise around that common line, right? Different players, different swings, different pitchers they're facing, different traveling, right? And so, but the general trend we see is that as accuracy increases in uHit, you make better decisions in terms of going for pitches in zone. So that's one metric, right? There is the accuracy. We assess first in the assessment, and then we give you a customized intervention plan to augment that accuracy. Put up with one other, in terms of looking at on field first, one other metric that we do in uHit is we look at the in-zone decision time, and it shows up as reaction. The reason it's important is because the faster you are to the zone, uHit, in other words, tapping the screen, and I'll show you how it looks later, we see generally they have more hits in play in the game. So again, hitting conditions, and that's why you get this around this line. But faster you are, so the more in this section to in the zone, you're getting more hits in play in the games. And there's a variety of other metrics that we look at in uHit, the OZ take in uHit, the chase decision time in uHit, and again, the uHit accuracy, all of which are important correlates to what you see happen on field. So now that I've showed you a little bit about why the accuracy or the reaction time in uHit is important, I'll show you now how we do an assessment in uHit, and then how that assessment is then, again, sent to the phone of an individual player so that they can work on these key metrics that we see in uHit correlate so strongly to performance on the field. So I'm going to share with you to start where'd it go? I'm going to share with you to start an assessment done for a player at a facility. So what you'll see on the screen is his strike recognition assessment first. We've got his accuracy here is 60%, and we see his reaction time here around 0.436 seconds. Now, when we look at how that accuracy breaks down across the zone, we see there's a little bit of an imbalance across different sides of the plate, higher and lower parts of the strike zone. And so what's going to happen is the data from this assessment is then fed into our AI so that we give the player a plan to follow so that we can work on these different parts of the zone that are showing up stronger or weaker than other parts, and also overall trying to impact this accuracy right now. Generally, what we find is that the AI prefers to get the accuracy up first before working on the reaction time or the decision time to get to the zone. So that's what we're going to focus on with this player right now. So I'm going to shift over to what uHit does now, taking that assessment data and then what shows up in that player's phone. So this is the main menu in uHit when you sign into it. We're going to go over to the to train. That's where the customized interventions are, and we're going to go over to challenges. That's where a player specific strike recognition AI, which is what we're going for right now, is. So we're looking at this player. His name is Evan Davis. He's from a facility that's in St. Louis, Sandlot Elite Baseball, and so his strike recognition AI. We see that he's got some clear goals for each inning, and you see as each inning goes by. The accuracy goal is the thing that's increasing as we go on. We start at 60% accuracy, which is what he showed over the whole zone. Now we go second inning, we're going up to 62%. Inning, we're going up to 64%. In the fourth inning, finally. And so, but what's going on here is actually that we are focusing on certain parts of the zone with Evan. So I'm going to dive into one of these innings to show you exactly what we're focused on in terms of Evan's zone recognition, his strike zone recognition. So it's going to load up. It's going to be a little choppy for you guys on video here, but I can assure you when you do it on the app, it's much smoother. What you'll see is that there's going to be a part of the zone that's going to illuminate green, and that inner part of the zone, that's really what the AI had identified as the problematic part of the zone for Evan. And that's really where we're focusing on right now. We're going for a goal of 60% accuracy for him there. And that's going to be really where we're getting hit up for like a divide and conquer over the whole zone. So every inning, he's going to be winner part of the zone 60%. Now he's got to get up to 62%. Now he's got to get up to 64 and 66. And then what happens halfway through? We go to so we make the FC threshold very low. The threshold again is very high, so he's got a lot of time. We just want to get a read, so he's doing. And then why is the accuracy lower here? 60% again. What's going on? We're focusing on different type. The first inning, we just focused on fastballs. The second, fastballs again, but we increased accuracy. Now, after we did the reassess and the thing, we're just focused on curve, and we're going to do the same thing in this inning at 62% curveballs. 64% accuracy again, only curveballs. And finally, rounding it out in the ninth inning, only curveballs on the inner part of the zone, going now for a threshold of 66%. So that's the way we're going to pick apart a player like Evan's strike recognition, his assessment kind of thing for pitch recognition as well. So I want to open it up to any kind of questions at this point too, because that's really kind of like the high level look at how uHit works. And maybe Ryan, if you want to throw in a few questions here or there about how players can use this info, and then I could shift gears to a pitch recognition assessment intervention too after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to make it clear too, you have baseball and softball available now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to save the softball part for later when I show people really how to find some more info on this. Our uHit Academy is a uHit Baseball Academy and a uHit Softball Academy where we've got interviews with coaches about how they're using this. And particularly the softball side is something that's really well represented there. And I'll be sure to put a link for that in the browser chat or in the chat here as we wrap up. But yeah, it is definitely for softball too.
So the easiest way for players to utilize it now would be to go on their phones or their iPads and download the app. And from there, it's a free assessment.
Right. Yeah. Well, they can download the app on their own. That's really the best way to start. And then in order to get the free assessment, what we would do is we'll provide a link to everyone who's on the call today, where you are, and we know the assessment to you and that you're getting it. And then you'll just log in on your phone with that username and password we give you. And then you'll be able to do the assessment for free right there and then decide if you want to continue on to the intervention.
Can you decide, or can you kind of walk us through the difference between self-guided, kind of the complete guide, and then the complete guide with the remote, kind of the differences between those?
Absolutely. So and I'll actually, let me pop that up quickly right here just so everyone can see it once. Really what we're looking at are a few options. So if you go to the uHit sign up, you're presented with 3 options in assessment and intervention, right? And so the self-guided is one of the options Ryan just mentioned there. That's really where you do your own assessment on zone recognition. You say, you know what, looks like I'm having a problem on this part of the zone. I want to just pound curveballs on this part of the zone. Or I'm seeing that I've got a problem with sliders away. I'm just going to fine tune it and you hit on the zone enhancement part. I'm just going to look on sliders away. But really what the complete interventions, these 2 options over here provide a step up on is that instead of being self-guided, they're really now being guided by AI, right? And so that means we're taking the data from your assessment, what parts of the zone, how fast are you reacting? Are you having problems with horizontal movement or is it vertical movement that's the problem? And then that data is then determining exactly what levels, level 1, level 2, inning 1, inning 2, et cetera, that you have to go through to target those particular weaknesses. So it's really a step up in terms of simplifying things for you. It's one thing to kind of, look at it and intuitively say, yeah, I'm having problems with sliders away. I'm having problems with curveballs low. But it's another thing really to have the data work to your advantage now and do it for you to give you the step-by-step program you follow. So that's really what complete intervention is. It's this AI-guided approach. It's on your phone and you have unlimited number of intervention rounds over the course of 6 months. So that's really a huge value added there, going from pro player to this, the self-guided to the AI-guided and complete. And then the swing integration, that kind of goes back to the beginning, Ryan, when you mentioned that the remote that you guys have used in the facility there. Now everybody can get it's a lower cost remote. It's a Bluetooth remote, and we call it swing integration because really the whole idea here is that you are integrating your zone and pitch recognition with your swing here because you're able to do this training not just on a phone like this where you're looking 2 eyes in front. No one's up at the plate like that. But instead, with swing integration, you've got a game remote that connects to a PC. You can connect that to a TV. And then you're now doing one eye closer to the other, just like you're in your natural batting stance. So that's a very important addition, really, to how the training goes in terms of the intervention. Not just doing it on your phone, but integrating it also with your swing. So with any of these options here, we are providing a particular discount to anyone coming from Johansson. So you just have to mention Johansson Baseball when you do call us at any of these numbers here, and we can get you hooked up with any one of these.
Awesome. Once the challenges are completed, are there still drills for guys to stay fresh? Also, are there team and group pricing?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, that's a great point about like refreshing the interventions. I think that's one big thing that you're getting value added with the complete interventions versus the self-guided is that it does regenerate another challenge for you that is customized based on not just assessment. Now it's based on what you just did in your last intervention, right? So what happens is in the AI guided approach, it's constantly taking how you've done in terms of zone recognition and pitch recognition and incorporating that into a next intervention round that you go through of 9 innings or 10 innings, right? So it lasts a period of time of 6 months so that you never really run out of things to work on. You're always going to be working on something that the data is telling us you need to focus on when it comes to zone or pitch. So that's one thing. The other thing is in group pricing, we have different kind of brackets in terms of wholesale and how many interventions you're doing at any one time. And again, you can call us at the number here, 833-DeServo. That's on this link, and I'll put this link in for the 833-DeServo. Anyone uHit specialist can talk to you. I can talk to you about it as well. How to do it for a team or a big group.
Okay, awesome. Does anybody else have any other specific questions? Players, do you guys have any questions about how to access it? And to download the app, if they're going to do softball versus baseball, they have to download it specific to sport, right? It's uHit softball versus uHit baseball. So if they're searching in the app store.
That's right. The uHit baseball app is specific to baseball. It's got all the baseball pitches you need. Plus it's got some major league pitchers in there to see, kind of some real movement from major league. In the softball app, it's specific to types you'll see baseball. So that's important. Google Play, when you are looking on the App Store, you can find either one of those. And I will point, I also will point you guys to, really a valuable resource for a lot of folks has been using the uHit Academy. And that's, I'll just pop that up quickly here for you because I'll give you some more information about how real coaches are using uHit right now. We have a couple of interviews up there. One is with Rick Strickland at Sandline. He talks about how he's using it in his facility. The softball side, pivoting. We have 3 really great interviews with Rob Cruz from his, on In the Game podcast. Complete Game podcast. Matt Lyle, I think a lot of folks know him from Fresno State softball and in the softball. And Susie Williamson, she's with Glory Fast Pitch in Virginia, and with O'Connell High School. She's like a state champ every year in softball. So real coaches talking about how they're using uHit right now. And the uHit Softball Academy, so that's deservo.com/uHit Softball Academy. I'll put that in the chat too for anyone. These are both really, really great resources for people call upon, and they can, again, access some of these assessment intervention options from checking out any one of these tools too.
Awesome. And really quick, just so I guess everybody knows, DeServo is, when you guys work with the military, you guys work with the NHL, you guys work with, that's a giant company. This isn't just some hole in the wall baseball, softball game app. This is like something that's been like developed by neurologists.
Right. Thanks for the credit. We didn't start doing this as like, we're going to make a baseball product, right? I played baseball through high school, and I've definitely seen a lot of things over the years of playing, and then even after that, this really started as, how does the brain work? The Army has for years at this point about finding out ways that the brain works and the brain makes quick decisions in high stakes environments. And that's really what DeServo does. So anyone but really the Performance Cortex is a book also that came out in the last couple of years that really got into the kind of do. But Brian's right. This is stuff that military has worked with us on for a long time. The NHL, we make a version of this kind of app, but specific for NHL officials to learn how to play call and judgment training in that environment. But baseball and softball, these are the tools that are very easy to use. And this is all based on really solid neuroscience, but it's making it easy to use for you all so you can do it on your phone, something that your players are really familiar with. If you're a player yourself, it's so easy to do this kind of work, especially in the time now. And we can't get live swings in, we can't really see live pitching, and we've kind of got like this extended preseason now for an indefinite amount of time.
Awesome. And then the one thing from, I guess, if you are going to do this, one of the best practices that you guys found was really successful with coaches to have all their players just get into a room in the first meeting and say, hey, take out your phones, download this app, right now, versus just expecting them to kind of do it in their off time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When we're talking about like best practices like this for coaches, it's really got to be a concerted effort. And especially now that everyone's doing by, Zoom and things like this, we're actually doing this by Zoom with, a facility in Maryland. In the case of, professional team in Korea, the Hanwha Eagles, we're doing it like this too. So it's a great way of all the players get in one place, download the app, do their assessment right away. Then we show them how they do their intervention. Easy kind of best practice way to do it, because you don't expect your players to do it on their own. You want to give them the tool up front. You want to get them in a kind of a team environment so they know that they're doing it with their teammates. And that's a really good point, Ryan. Yeah.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions? Going once. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask. You don't have to type in the chat box. Going twice. Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for your time. This was all recorded as well, so we'll make sure we get this up on our website. And we'll share it in the Slack. If anybody wants to talk about uHit in the Slack as well, make sure that you guys put that in there. Let's try to get a little more engagement on that going as we move forward. It was a little quiet. I know with Easter and everything could have been it was a busy weekend, but maybe this week we can up it a little bit. Awesome, Jason. Thank you so much for your time. Awesome. All right. So the other thing that I wanted to do today is I kind of wanted to go over drill progressions. I kind of have a lower, in my head, I kind of had a lower body drill progression that I wanted to kind of talk about. I wasn't necessarily going to demonstrate. I was more going to share my screen. If you guys have questions, I'd like this to be more of a discussion than rather me talking. So feel free to stop me at any point, and then we'll kind of wrap up the day. I'm not going to take very long. I'm just going to show a couple drills and kind of talk about how you can kind of get good at those drills and then blend them together as a progression. So like I said, I'd like this to be more of a discussion. If you guys have other things that you guys do, especially coaches, feel free to jump in and let us know how you progress drills and how you kind of do maybe some of your programming. If you work at a facility, definitely want to hear from everybody. So it's not just me talking. So I'm going to share my screen here. In 1 second when I get the right link up. All right. So thumbs up if you guys can see it. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Perfect. Awesome. Cool. So what we'll do is I want to talk about this specific drill. So this essentially becomes a single leg squat. We use a chair, a bucket. You can use even like a Swiss ball or something. I'm going to make it big really quick. And basically what we're doing here is this can be done in flips. This can be done on a machine. This can be done anywhere. What we're trying to do is we talked a little bit about it in Nate's drill when he talks about the hook 'em and the walkthroughs, just kind of holding the rear leg as long as possible while also being able to transfer as much force into our front leg as possible as well, maintaining our direction. You can do this drill. You can make adaptations where this can be an angled flip with a plyo. You could do this drill with one of the Great Lakes skinny bats or the long barrel trainers. You can really do this drill with any adaptation you want based on what you're looking for. So for us, when we look at drills, when we think about compound drills, we think about, okay, what is the physical that we want to have happen that we're trying to work on, and what is the production that we want to work on. And we can kind of mix and match there. So if there's a player who struggles at the top of the zone, we might do a really long barrel with maybe a really, really like steep attack angle, like inclined positive steep attack angle. What we'll do is we might go, okay, hey, we want him to hold the rear heel better. We want him to transfer force into the front leg better. This might be a great drill to do, but we're going to do it with a long bat and then plyos at the top of the zone. And we're going to cue that player maybe to hit the crossbar on the L screen. If it's a player who's got maybe too steep negative, then we might give him a short bat and plyos, throw him at the bottom of the zone, say, hey, make sure this ball clears the L screen or gets to a certain spot in the cage. So we can combine kind of these feels and these external cues depending on the drills that we're working on. And I think that's kind of the best way to do it, because you're going to get more bang for your buck. You can control your workload a little bit more and kind of go from there. Another thing that we can kind of do, if I can figure out how to get back out of this maybe. There we go. So if I was going to do this drill, I might start with this drill, and then I want to continue to work on my lower half. I might want to integrate it with what we call either fall off the ledge or Bellinger drill. These swings are incredibly worse than the other ones. My back was killing me in these particular videos. But essentially what we're doing here is, again, we're taking the chair away, but we're trying to kind of glide out, hold our rear leg as long as possible, and also be able to make a forward move and transfer into our front leg. So that's a really good drill to kind of progress through. Hey, feel it maybe with a little bit more force driving through your heel, up through your hamstring and glute. And then also being able to maybe integrate it with more of a general move. So we call this drill fall off the ledge. The reason we call it that is we kind of think of our hands kind of holding onto a ledge and then drifting forward. But at the same time, if you watch Cody Bellinger hit, this can also be Bellinger drill. We could also call it Babe Ruth drill. There's a lot of different, professional players that are very famous that you could kind of name this drill after, depending on who you're talking to. From there, I really like skater jumps too. Now I kind of want to really integrate my hinge. We talked about this in the day that I led kind of that warm up. You can actually do this while swinging as well. The key here is that we want to go as far as we can, forward and back. Some of these are a little bit more aggressive than others, but demonstrating kind of being able to get into our front side, load into our back side, and then get off quickly. If you've ever seen kind of any kind of force plate data or anything like that, one of the things we look at is how fast I get off my backside and into my front leg. So when I'm able to load and then get back into the front leg quickly, we've tested this drill on force plates where we've done a test. And then we've gone and done these skater jump drills, and we've gone back into the force plates and tested them. And that's kind of why this one stuck around and is kind of one of our staples. Now, when I talk about progressions and things, you can do this to where you progress and do drill 1 for, let's say, 5 reps, 4 reps, take a break. Do drill 2, 5, 6 reps, whatever you want to do. Drill 3, 4 to 6 reps, whatever you're thinking. But once you get good at all 3 of these drills, what I'd like to see players do is I'd like to see them do drill 1 for 1 rep, drill 2 for 1 rep, drill 3 for 1 rep, and then game swing for 1 rep. So when they do their rounds, they're really integrating all these different things and all these different feels into kind of a blended approach to where they have to kind of manipulate their body in different ways. And I like to do it with a moving ball because you don't exactly know where it's going to come, where it's going to come from, and you're moving and manipulating your body in all these different ways while building concepts. You're building concepts on how to absorb force, how to load into the back hip, how to transfer force, how to generate and maintain your direction because you're getting ball feedback, especially if you're using plyo balls and things like that. So it's a way for the body to really challenge the CNS and kind of work not only physically but externally as well, and kind of the results from there. So that's kind of one of the things I want to talk about. I'm not necessarily trying to say these are the specific drills you have to do. That was just kind of an example of how you can progress. If you have a progression for a drill, whether it's a lower body progression, whether it's a turn progression, whether it's a direction progression, you're working angles, but being able to kind of manipulate, drill 1, drill 2, drill 3, or drill 1, drill 2, drill 3, drill 1, drill 2, drill 3, drill 1, drill. So they don't have to be clustered together in these drills. You can kind of intermix it and say, hey, do this one from there. And we do something called bat library where we do the same thing. If we do have a guy who really struggles with path, maybe maybe he's really steep sometimes, really negative other times, and he's never really getting a good ball flight. That might be an opportunity to say, hey, you're going to use a long bat for 2 swings, short bat for 2 swings, game bat for 2 swings, and we're going to, you know, mix up all these locations and speeds and things like that just to get them to learn barrel awareness a little bit better. So making it a little bit more random once they kind of get the concept of the main drill itself. I wouldn't do drill 1, drill 2, drill 3, game swing, and then, you know, kind of rinse and repeat until they really understand each individual drill. But making sure you're controlling workloads and being creative, I think, is how you do these things. I think I told somebody the other day, you know, how do we come up with these drills? A lot of these drills were staples like pre-tech, pre-data. And we totally scratched a lot of the drills that we did from there too. These drills are the ones that stuck around because these are the ones that we tested and got really good results on. With all of our with all our technology and everything that we've had. These are the ones that have kind of, we saw visually with our eyes that we liked them and that we were getting results. And then we saw in the data that we liked them and we were getting results. So these are the ones that stuck around from there. Somebody asked me how I come up with new drills. I don't try to come up with new drills necessarily. I'm not looking to invent anything. I think if we do come up with new drills, there's some things that, you know, maybe just off the cuff, you know, thinking around or having a conversation with somebody, man, that might be really interesting to try. In which case I'll try it on myself first. I'll see if I can feel that I would like to kind of get out of it, see if it's something that actually makes sense, or if it's something that just, you know, sounded cool in my head or you know, whatever. Then there's other drills that are, you know, as talking with players, trying to get them to come up with a specific feel. We might do something random and crazy for that specific player, but that might not be a staple for our program. So the ones that are kind of in our drill library here that I'm showing you, these are staples that we use with a lot of players and with a lot of different adaptations to address different issues. So when you're talking about team environments versus individual, I think this matters more, knowing what your staples are and how to bucket guys to create easy adaptations, you know, based on what you're looking for and what's important to you as a coach. I think coaches care about different things, and if you organize what's important to you, you can still bucket your players no matter what kind of data sets you're looking at, as long as you know kind of what's important to you. So like I said, I didn't want to take a long time to go through that. That's just kind of how we look at progressions and kind of how we kind of look at programming a little bit. What is the physical change that we want to address? What's the mechanical change? And then what's the production issue that we want to address? And depending on what's more important is which way we'll lean towards the drills. But these are a lot of things too, where, you know, I might not even necessarily tell a player that I want him to focus on the back heel when he's getting up out of the chair. I'm just gonna say, hey, we're gonna do this weird drill where I'm gonna have you get up out of a chair, and I want you to kind of maybe think a little bit about your heel, but it's not really that important. I'm more concerned about you taking this long bat and driving the ball with the plyo ball. So that heel then becomes kind of an auxiliary thought, and then he's locked in on making sure that his long barrel bat with the plyos at the top of the zone, he's really working path, and we're getting a little bit better on the heel. So we talked the other day about focusing on your strength, and not necessarily, you know, trying to hammer all your weaknesses. And that's kind of how I think about compound drills and how I think you can make the most out of your time when you're doing drills and programming for players. There was something in the chat. Let me switch it. I'm going to stop screen sharing. Go back to the gallery view. Can you show the video with the roll-ins? Yeah, for sure. After I stopped showing my screen, I should have looked at the chat. Sorry, Ty. So keep in mind, what I like about roll-ins, and I think I talked about this the other day, is I like that they're a self-organization drill. For me, I don't create nearly as much separation as what some guys do. I have to internally rotate my hips a little bit, but that's more of a lack of stability, and just because I'm trying to demonstrate here that I want my shoulders to turn back. A really hypermobile mover is going to be able to, who can disassociate well, is going to be able to make this look a lot better. That's kind of the end goal. I'd videotape yourself doing roll-ins. The idea is that we want to stabilize the hips, kind of like we talked about. Coach Nate talked about this. You'll see too, if you pause, I didn't even keep my lead foot straight, which makes sense for a lot of my mobility. But because I'm a tighter mover, you're not going to see this big kind of that big separation there. I don't need to separate a lot to create more power. That's been proven with 40 motion, not only on the golf course, but with hit tracks as well. So looser movers are going to create a bigger move here to accomplish this goal. But the idea is that my hips stay square, my shoulders kind of rotate back around and kind of fight each other. It's core stability, pelvic control, and then also being able to kind of utilize our upper back to turn our torso, also being able to really think about side bend. So again, it's a compound drill. That's why I'd videotape yourself, kind of see what you want to do. I included this in our dry swings. I think this is a really cool drill to do dry swings with a mirror. You can kind of really see when you get tight, how you get tight. It's a way to evaluate how you move, how you prefer to move and generate force without necessarily having, crazy mobility assessment or putting technology on you, things like that. Ty, does that kind of give you feedback as I'm slowing this down and looking at it? It looks like something I got to retape. It's definitely one of our tougher drills. That second one was a little bit better as I get through here. So I'll show it one more time. Yeah. But yeah, the idea there is core control, upper back, and kind of go through there. So does that satisfy what you were going for, Ty? Cool. Awesome. Any other questions on that? Drill progress. I'd like to hear from other coaches too, how you guys kind of organize your drills and kind of create your sniper stations or bucket guys and your team settings as well. If you guys have anything, if you don't, it's okay. Quiet group today. Going once.
I'll talk a little bit if you want me to, Ryan.
Go for it, man.
So one thing that kind of obviously I would say there's different issues between everybody. With my team, it was big on direction and bat path. And one drill kind of progression, you can do it however you want. It involved angle on both sides, even if it's the angle coming at them or away from them. We're big into plyo balls as well. But one of the biggest progressions that we felt like we saw some gains is what I call around the world. So it's pretty much angle tosses going around from foul lines. So I normally like to start away and then work my way inside. And that kind of gave them a good sense of realizing that not so much a different swing with different pitches in the locations, but more of how they attack that pitch. And I just felt like that was a really good progression for them. It was a good visual for them. They're always trying to attack the L screen right where it came from. So that hopefully that could be something that if you guys like or enjoy, that could hopefully clean up some things for your hitters. So just want to throw that in there.
Awesome, man. No, I love that. So you're talking about when you say around the world, basically throwing from, basically from the third base all the way to first base or open side, close side, stuff like that?
Yeah. Normally in a front toss setting, so it's more controlled. And then to kind of advance upon that, you can add different types of bats. We've got a short bat. You've got the longer, heavier bat, stuff like that. So you can kind of be creative on what exactly you think will help that athlete. And normally you get feedback where they say, hey, I really like this. And then you kind of can explain it through them, like, well, why'd you like that? What did you feel doing that type thing?
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, that's great. What about any coaches, any other college coaches that want to talk about maybe what they did with their team, some different progressions that they really liked, or how they organized team practices? Going once.
I can talk a little bit, right?
Awesome, let's go.
So one progression I really enjoy is the kind of the pre-hitting stuff. What's going on before we start hitting, and it's just a ton of med ball work and a ton of PVC pipe, and obviously this stuff you can do at home with a heavier ball or just a broomstick of some sort. So just like the single leg you had for your drill, I like having my guys actually start standing up with the med ball, actually sink in with that back leg, get to that sitting point, and then come back up and then throw the ball. So they're just getting that entire feel. And then just a lot of separation stuff that you've shown me through your links. And then going into the PVC planes or the heavy bag. So, and you don't need a heavy bag necessarily. You could have just a wall at your house and just tape up the different pitch heights, like high, middle, and low, and just grab a broomstick across your shoulder or your bat and just changing your body angles to those pitch heights, which it's just something I like to do. So my guys get a feel of what their body's doing on different pitches. and how their swing actually doesn't change. It's just your posture changes.
Awesome, man. Yeah, love it. Love it. Ty, I think it depends on what you're going for. That's going to be a great question to ask Bill Miller when he comes on and does his power performance. If you're looking to build speed, then you might want to go lighter. If you're looking to build, it really both would be my answer, but it depends on what you're looking to do and where you're at. If you go too heavy, you're going to kind of get yourself stuck. If you go too light, you could end up kind of overspinning and maybe thinking some bad patterns are better than they are. But it depends. I mean, that's kind of a loaded question. Why specifically would you ask that? You can unmute yourself too if you want to, if it's easier than chatting.
I was just gonna say, like, I do like the warm up with the PVC pipe, and I also use med ball sometimes. So just to like get loose before swinging, should I stay lighter or go heavy?
Before swinging,
Yeah.
man, we've done it both ways. If you can, so we do like med ball catches a lot too, where like we'll go heavy with the med ball catches, and that's basically getting in your hitting position and almost like catching it like you're a tight end. And you're trying to like stabilize. If you go too heavy there, you're going to pull yourself completely over, but heavy enough to where it's really challenging and kind of makes your body shake and you're trying to stabilize it quickly. It's again, for me, when we program even movement prep stuff and warm up stuff, it really depends on what the player specifically needs. A player we're trying to maybe get to go faster, we'll use lighter. If we're maybe trying to build some decel patterns, we'll go lower or we'll go higher weight just to add some inertia and things like that too. Are there any strength coaches on here that are listening? I don't see any. They usually give really good answers about med balls. Eric Cressy's got some really good. If that's something you're interested in learning, Eric Cressy's got a lot of really good stuff on med ball training and kind of whether to go heavy or light and how he programs. But save that question for Bill Miller when he comes on too. He's a phenomenal resource for developing power and speed. He'll talk about that.
Okay, thanks.
You got it, man. Sorry I didn't have a better answer for you. Both. Anybody else have any other questions? Cool, Nate. I'm gonna turn this back over to you. If
for on the teachers.
Hello. Nate, you ready? Perfect.
Sorry, I was lagging.
All good, man.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Good. Yeah, just real quick, just wanted to share, a verse I was reading the other day. It's John 6:35. Then Jesus declared, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." Came to mind just kind of going over this week of Good Friday and Easter. Talking a little bit about on Good Friday and how Jesus died on the cross for us, and that ultimate sacrifice that he did for each and every one of us so that we can have eternal life. And then celebrating on Sunday when he rose again, that so our sins are washed away. Just kind of was reflecting on that yesterday with Easter Sunday. It kind of was a lot different from usually on Easter. I'm going to 5 different meals between me and the fiance. So yesterday, kind of staying home and had some time to reflect on that and think about that while I was doing that yesterday. But yeah, just reflecting on what he did for us and that ultimate sacrifice. How especially kind of in this pandemic right now, we're going through kind of getting stir crazy. Trying to think about things could be worse. Kind of there, our problems right now are for me just staying home, right? So I think more about that and everything that he did and why we celebrate Easter and why we spend time with our families and why we look back and what he did for us. yeah, short and sweet, and that's kind of just wanted to reflect on, this weekend and why we, celebrate those things and why we look back on, what he did for us. And then that verse again is John 6:35. I can put that in the chat too. It's kind of the one I was reading yesterday and today.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Really quick too, guys. I know we have I created a separate channel for the Bible study. I'm not going to proactively add anybody in there just to be respectful of kind of where everybody's at there. If you want to be added, shoot me a direct message on the Slack or shoot me a text or email, and I'll just add you to the channel. I also added a really cool kind of synopsis of a book by the name author was McDowell. Really, really, really cool project that was in there that got sent to me over the weekend. And I uploaded that in there. So that's something you're kind of looking for. If you're looking for more stuff up until Thursday, be a good thing to check out. And it's called More Than a Carpenter. It's really, really, really cool. Somebody sent it to me. And it's really neat. So what we'll do now, kind of like we've done in the past, is we will just kind of let everyone, you guys are done. You guys got everything you wanted out of today. Go ahead and see you later. We'll catch you tomorrow. If you want to hang around and talk more, you guys are more than welcome to. Feel free to everybody unmute themselves, and we'll kind of just open up a discussion. Any questions? It doesn't have to be what we talked about today. It could be anything, and we'll keep it going. I added 2 files into the Slack portal that were sent to us by Jason from uHit, so you guys will have basically those options to be able to go through there. And go from there. I have a question for some of the players. What else could you guys be, or do you want your either facilities, teams, coaches, what else can we do to support you during this weird time, during this kind of this like what else do you guys need from us? Is it something where we're just kind of reaching and we're just kind of looking because we feel like we want to be productive and like we want to do more and more? Or is it something where you guys have specific needs and the facilities are like, hey, we'll do virtual training or we'll do like a virtual lesson. You're like, I don't really want that. What do you guys need right now that's something that maybe we could provide for you guys other than just content or other than just kind of doing this engagement type thing? I like the discussion aspect that happened a little bit today too. Hopefully we can integrate that a little bit more. I know with the large group it's hard, but what do you guys think about that? College coach, if you've heard from your players at all about certain things that you think they might want, or I would love to talk about that. Anybody got anything?
I'm sorry, what did you say? I missed that, Ryan. I had to go to the bathroom.
Just what should we be doing right now? Is either college coaches, facility owners, pro coaches, like what can we do to support players during this time other than just kind of create content? Is it something where that's just a really bad question because there's nothing we could do? Or are we missing the boat on something just offering, obviously a lot of people are offering these virtual lessons. People are offering, we're trying to put these links together, stuff are we just reaching? Is it something where players just kind of want to stay at home and enjoy the time with their family like a lot of the coaches do? Because this is usually our busy time and there's kind of a silver lining there. Or is there another piece of something that we can do to make it easier or more beneficial or more productive for the player in general?
And I need to kind of I've slowed down with it because of the circumstances that I'm going through with the job, but it was a big thing I want to do is build relationships. So I would call all of our guys and talk with them once a week and kind of just continue to build the relationship piece. I mean, not much we can do baseball wise. Starting to do some Zooms of talking about different things, if it's life lessons, even if it's hitting stuff, even have a group Zoom once a week where it'll be an hour where hey, everybody's off mute and let's just talk and catch up and kind of continue to build relationships. That's kind of one thing I've really tried to do because I would say it's hard to do that when you're on the baseball field and you're so zoned in on what you're trying to do on the field. I kind of forgot the relationship piece.
Yeah, it's tough.
What we done, Rye, is we developed just a Word document. You could turn into a survey or something, but we call it AAO, so just area of opportunity our guys are looking for to improve upon. And for our seniors that are graduating, it doesn't even have to be about baseball. We're talking about just developing their resume, their cover letters, if they need help on that aspect. And then thinking on your guys, the high school guys specifically, how can you possibly help them sign up for FAFSA or help them with college applications or stuff that they might not know how to do?
It's a great point. Yeah, just stuff outside of the game, like life stuff.
Yeah.
Players, what do you guys think? You guys are still on here? See a couple. All right, cool. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. Aaron and Jason, great job today. Really appreciate you guys. If you guys have any other questions about anything, feel free to throw them in Slack. If you guys want to answer that question privately, feel free to let us know or let me know either in the Slack DM or email or text if you guys have it. So awesome. And Great Lakes wants you guys to know to shoot him a DM on Twitter if you guys have any other, if you guys want to get hold of him privately as well. At GLB is at GL Batco. GL Batco is what it is. Yeah, God, I had to remember it. I just type in GLB and it always comes up. But at GL Batco. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Talk to you guys later. See you tomorrow.